Welcome back everyone to the final of the Vampire Counts Tournament of the Old World Preliminations. We've got Jeffrey the referee in his favourite Swedish flag-inspired colour scheme as we go off to this final between Mannfred von Carstein versus Isabella von Carstein. Both of them have had interesting battles, and I'll tell you now, I legit have no idea which of these two armies are going to win this one. I know what happened in the original replay when I ran this battle the first time. I know who won, but because of the recent patch, for the 3 point whatever it is patch that came out in late May, I have literally no idea what army is going to do what. So this is new for me as well. So we've got Vlad's forces. Sorry, I keep saying Vlad. Mannfred with his line of zombies, some crypt ghouls, very good unit there. Some more zombies. He's got some graveguard, solid infantry. He's also got a graveguard with great weapons. So both versions of graveguard being brought to the battle with 2 units of skeleton warriors and a spearman there, with a solid unit of crypt horrors, probably one of the best units in the game at this point, with a unholy lodestone corpse cart for healing, and Mannfred himself running around on foot this time to get stuck in. Across the field from him we've got Isabella. Isabella this time is not on a spooky horse that can fly, she's just on a standard spooky horse. She's also got her front line of some skeleton spearmen, obviously numerous units of zombies, a unit of crypt ghouls and graveguard, but more importantly, she's bringing her own unholy lodestone corpse cart, a standard corpse cart with balefire, a unit of vargheists and a unit of crypt horrors. Arguably, she's got more monsters in her force than Mannfred, but we'll see how this battle goes. In this case, both forces have just decided to get stuck in. I can't remember which one had rolled the attacker spot and which one had rolled the defender spot, but don't think it seems to matter as both sides are just going to get stuck in. Spells are being cast as the graveguard gets blasted there by Isabella from range. We had a spell cast by Mannfred early on against the zombies of all things. I'm not quite sure why he wasted the spell on a zombie unit, but there we go. We can see that both forces are starting to line up. Mannfred is... I guess Mannfred was just repositioning there to get some advantage. Use a bit of the hill, I guess, as advantage. I'm not quite sure. There's an interesting choice, but I don't think it'll make a huge difference. Spell being cast now toward Isabella as Mannfred blasts toward her. Hits his own forces, his own graveguard of all things. As I said, if it'd been a zombie unit, that would have been fine. And speaking of zombie units, Isabella brings in her own troop as Mannfred gets stuck in. He's going to go in to try and attack. If he's smart, he'll go in to attack Isabella straight off the bat. Of course, if he doesn't, I said off the bat. Oh, the vampire bats. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, it looks like the two rival vampire lords may in fact get into close range and start smacking seven hells at each other. Good God, the vargheists and the graveguard with great weapons really tore into each other quite early on. Skeleton warriors starting already to crumble. The crypt horrors, though, are the reason those vargheists are having a pretty bad day. In fact, they're down to 7 units, and I don't suspect they will live much longer. In fact, there we go. They all did a coordinated hop into the corner and die, just like in Blackadder there. We can see that the zombies there are starting to fall apart. It's a bit of a mess all round. This is just an ugly fight. Quite early on. Mannfred is definitely in a scenario where his troops are outnumbered, and they seem to be getting quite quickly pummeled. There's a lot of units already hitting the crumbling stage earlier on than I thought would have happened, but that's it for you. Isabella hasn't even taken that much damage by comparison. Mannfred definitely giving chase. We've got these units of crypt horrors right in the middle of his forces. That's not good because he doesn't have his own crypt horrors to back this up. I'm seeing more red banners than I'm seeing black banners, and that's bad news for Mannfred. I don't suspect he will be doing pretty well in this battle if it keeps up like this, to be honest. If I was playing the battle tactically, I wouldn't have had Mannfred get stuck in quite yet. I definitely would have seen where the crypt horrors went. I would have held my graveguard back and used them to charge in after I'd sort of had the enemy crypt horrors and the vargheists engage with weaker units like my skeletons or my zombies, and then had those graveguard come in and support. I also would not have engaged the corpse cart. I wouldn't have had them get into the fight quite as early as they have. I mean, putting them right smack bang in the melee is just asking for them to get focused. Isabella, though, doing good. I mean, the AI is doing a smart job here. She's swarming. She's enveloped the entire front line. She's got forces all over the place. And Mannfred's troops are pretty much overwhelmed, and he's about to lose his great weapon Graveguard. There's not much left of them, so they're just going to crumble, unless he casts something like Aspect of the Dread Knight or something on them. I don't think he's going to be doing that. I mean, to be fair, she's about to lose a Corpse Cart with Balefire, which is, it is progress, and it's pretty good. And over here on the right flank, the Crypt Horrors have taken some damage, but they are going to be able to probably hold their own, and they are going to be engaging that Corpse Cart with the Unholy Lodestone, which means that she will lose some self-healing ability on her troops. But I don't really know if that's going to make that much difference, because there's so few of his troops remaining. And there goes the Graveguard. Oh, the Great Weapons Graveguard and the Standard Graveguard aren't going to do much better. This is a case where, realistically, Mannfred needed to get involved. He needed to start attacking Isabella as soon as possible. In fact, he may have even been better supported had his own Crypt Horrors been able to refocus and start hitting her, just as try and break her morale and send her scurrying away. At best, being able to kill the Necromancer means you defeat the entire army. It's basically a Hail Mary play against any undead faction. If you can kill the leader, it doesn't matter how many forces he has left. If they die, the entire army dies, and that's really what Mannfred needs to do here. If anything else, if he could somehow take out Isabella, all of this around him wouldn't make a lick of difference. But we can see now that his Crypt Horrors are rapidly losing cohesion, and they are going to start crumbling at this rate. Critical binding over the damage they sustained. They are being hit from all sides. There are a lot of gnarled claws, hands, teeth biting into them, trying to bring them down, as Mannfred is taking a fair chunk of his own hit points off. He's lost about a quarter of his hit points there. He's summoned in a unit of zombies, the old reliable. Over here on his left flank, her right flank, the Crypt Horrors are also doing pretty good, holding their own. The Skeleton Spearmen are crumbling. That's not surprising though, but that's what they're there for. The Crypt Ghouls are being kept standing by the Corpse Cart, the Unholy Lodestone, but that thing is right in the middle of the fight. That thing is getting hit by the Crypt Horrors, and that isn't what's supposed to be happening. Mannfred should pull this thing back. He should get it a bit further back, right in the middle of these zombies, where it would be safe, because they would have to smash their way through those troops while it would be constantly healing and regenerating them. But instead, the little bald idiot has got stuck right in the front, and that isn't going to work out well for him. Even Isabella has realised this, and now she's going to make her way toward that unit, and she's going to make sure it gets killed. Meanwhile, we can see that his Crypt Horrors are, they're crumbling at this point. They are going to slowly fall apart. They're down to 7, and that isn't going to do much better for them. And this was a silver-ranked unit at the start of this battle. Apologies, I've had a bit of a sore throat. You can see now that Mannfred is doing his best, but it's not enough, honestly. It really isn't. Compared to his previous showing here against Heinrich, which was a damn good fight, we can see that the Corpse Cart is also getting to that point, the weak binding now. It's going to start hitting the crumbling status at this state. The Graveguard, which have moved over to support, I don't think they're going to be able to do enough to really help. You can see that they're just swamped. There's targets in every direction. Wherever they turn, they've got something trying to smack them to death. As the zombies over here are they're just in the middle of the fight here, mixed in with the Graveguard as well, that are also fighting. So the Graveguard are actually split between these two fights here in the middle. Mannfred is now on his own. He's being swarmed by zombies, which are being healed by the Unholy Lodestone, and having to deal with Isabella running around, and a unit of Crypt Ghouls, which will no doubt, will have poison in them. And as we can see, poison reduces your speed, your armor-piercing missile damage, your base missile damage, your base weapon damage, and your armor-piercing weapon damage all reduces. So you're not doing as much damage, you're not penning the armor as often, you're not getting those critical hits in, you're just getting slowly worn down as the poison is, it's a solid debuff, and it's one of the reasons why Crypt Ghouls are so powerful in a respect, is very useful in a Vampire Count's army, because even if they're not going to do a lot of damage, they are capable of reducing higher tier infantry down to a lower rung, basically making it so they fight more like a tier 2 or a tier 1 unit. for a time while they're engaging the Crypticals, and it's a great way of being able to hold up entire sections of armies with elite troops, which allows your monstrous units and the such to be able to get in there and clear up some of the weaker elements of your opponent. And the Crypticals, also if they're supported by a Corpse Cart, can just keep themselves going almost indefinitely at that rate. So it's a solid combination as the old Corpse Cart and Cryptical combat. And we see Mannfred he's crumbling, and as soon as he drops, there we go, and we'll be able to see the whole army just pop out of existence. We see them all one by one just falling apart, and it did end the way that I initially remembered it ending. Isabella did win, but again, this was a very different fight. Originally, Isabella, if I remember correctly, got quite close to losing. She took a lot of damage. She was back and forth in the fight with Mannfred. Mannfred himself was also back and forth in this fight. Now the AI is going to mill around looking for Jeffrey over there on the right, and I don't think the AI is going to find him anytime soon. So we will end this battle here with the old replay system. So we have our victor, the one who will be going forward into the grand tournament of the old world, as we have Isabella Von Carstein. So, interesting set of battles. I do lament not being able to look at the stats of these replays. It sucks because these battles were very good the first time around. They were good for this one as well, especially the fact that the AI has massively improved since previous patches. As you probably know, if you've been watching these, you'll have seen the AI in the past did act a bit strange. It would have issues where it would stand still, it wouldn't react to what's happening around it very well. This one, bit more dynamic, reacts, uses spells, uses abilities. The fights seem to last a bit longer, so that's quite good. I'm hoping that's what's going to be for the remainder of with the preliminations before we get into the actual grand tournament, the big one, where different races will be fighting each other rather than just the same one. But that wraps up the Vampire count. So we still have the Wood Elves, and we also have the Chaos Dwarfs to see of those two final factions who will be going forward to represent them. So yeah, I'm looking forward to doing those. But until then, thank you everybody for joining. As always, I will catch you next time, and have a good week. Thanks. Bye-bye.